Welcome to It's a Beautiful Day Family Encouragement Podcast, where we take a few moments to lift up, inspire, and walk alongside families just like yours. I'm your host, Pastor Jeff, and today's episode is one that is especially timely as we head into the busy season of summer sports. If your family is part of a travel team or thinking about it, you know it's more than just schedules and gear bags. It's long weekends, high expectations, and sometimes tough choices about our priorities. So today, we're diving into how being on a travel team impacts your faith, your family rhythms, and what it looks like to honor God in the midst of the hustle. Whether you're courtside, field side, or cheering from the sidelines, this one's for you. Today's guest is my friend Will Melton, who has two sons playing select baseball. So let's get started. Will, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Will, tell me a little bit about your family. Tell me your wife and yourself, what you do, and then tell me about your boys.
I'm Will Melton, my wife Abby. We've been going to church for a long time. My boys, Ben and Brant, they're 7 and 9. I work in the oil and gas industry downtown in the midstream sector. And Abby is now a substitute teacher. She taught elementary school for a couple of years, and now she's a substitute teacher.
Oh, that sounds great. So tell me, what sports is your family involved in? Like, what are the sports?
Baseball is the front runner.
Okay.
Has been for 4 years now with Bennett. Brant's taken up that too. This year we started in basketball. They needed a change, wanted to do something different. So now it's basketball and baseball.
Okay.
And
Did Bennett and Brant both do basketball?
Bennett and Brant both do basketball.
Okay, that's good. One thing that I noticed, Bennett is... he's like a quiet leader, in my opinion, when I see him at church. Do you experience that at home or in the sports, or does he get louder?
No, he doesn't get louder. He just kind of leads by example.
Mm-hmm.
It was funny. We had a baseball end-of-year party, and all the kids got to vote on who would be the leader of the team. And I didn't see it coming, but they all voted Bennett. And he's not real loud, not real forceful. He just kind of leads by example, and people kind of... they're attracted by that, I think.
That's awesome. That's really, I mean, it's got to make you proud to see
that.
Very
proud.
Yeah,
very proud.
And then for Brant, what I noticed about him, he's sort of your buttoned up kid. Like, he's always got his shirt tucked in and everything. How does that translate into baseball and basketball? Everything's
got its place. Everything's got to look perfect, got to be perfect, and it translates into sports. He's very about his positioning on the field. When he goes up to bat, everything's got to be right. He's very detailed. He listens well enough to look like a baseball and basketball player, even at a young age. So he translates all of his perfectionist qualities into his sports routines.
That's cool. Okay, so let's talk about how your family came to our church. Like, were you raised in church? How you and Abby both raised in church? How did that happen?
I was raised in church. Abby grew up in church. I started going here, it's been 25 years ago, and kind of grew up going here. Went to college, went to a Baptist college, and once I graduated, met Abby. We tried a couple of different churches, just trying to figure out marriage and moving forward, and landed the second year of our marriage back at Sugar Creek together, and we've since then raised our boys in the church, and it's just kind of our way of life.
One thing that I noticed is, I don't know if you know this, and we kind of keep statistics in the Baptist world, but an active family in church these days, it's considered that they attend church once a month.
Really?
Yeah. So 12 times a year make you an active church member.
Interesting.
And I know that you have a lot of sports things with baseball. It takes you out on weekends and that kind of thing. But I pulled up your family's attendance, and y'all attend far more than one time a month. And so I was wondering, how are you making church a priority in your house?
I think church is the priority, but relationship with God is the priority, and church comes with that.
Right.
We knew when we got into baseball, and Abby and I actually had, I won't call it an argument, but we had discussions about, is this really what we want to do? And is weekend baseball and taking away from time at church going to be beneficial to our family? So we did it on a trial basis, and we thought we'd see how it goes. Saturdays are busy with baseball, but Sunday, you never know what time the games are going to be.
Right.
With select baseball. It may be 8 a.m, it may be 2 p.m. And through some weekends and trial and error, we figured that those 8 a.m. games, it's an opportunity to show our kids that you don't have to be in church to be at church. Thankfully, we have an online ministry where if we're not here, we're listening to it.
That's great. That's good. That's a good point for parents. We do have online ministry, and so we can listen to it. We can watch it. As far as like being a Christian family on a team, how has that worked? Because we're in a pretty diverse area, so you probably have a lot of different religions. Do you ever have opportunities to share your faith with your team? Maybe not necessarily like just hitting them over the head with the Bible, but how does that work?
We're lucky to be surrounded by a good, and I'm speaking baseball here. The basketball is run by a Christian organization, but baseball is a little bit more diverse. We're lucky to be surrounded with some people, like-minded people. We've actually started a FCA division of our Little League, and we do every Wednesday during the spring, we have a group meeting.
Just at the field?
At the field.
That's really cool, yeah.
We send out invites to whoever wants to come is welcome. Last year, I think we had up to 50 kids.
Wow.
We were able to buy Bibles and wristbands and shirts and hand them out. And that's been a really cool thing to be able to do. It's a group of five guys, and we've done that. But as far as individual teams, lead by example is kind of a motto, but not everybody prays. Not everybody believes in God. So I've found that before practice and during practice is one thing, but games, everybody's amped up and ready to play games. And instead of saying, we're going to pray, say, I'm a believer in Christ, I pray. And before the games, I would like to give you an opportunity to do the same thing. So have a moment of silence.
Yeah.
If kids start to take to that, then I don't mind praying. Bennett is very open with praying. I'll ask him to pray sometimes in front of his friends, and it starts to get him engaged in draw some questions here and there. And if nothing else, it plants a seed in their head, and they can, do what they want with that.
Yeah. So I never dreamed that I would be a sports dad, but I ended up being a soccer dad. And so we did the select soccer and all that. And I understand like just the different pulls that takes on your family. And it has changed really. We started soccer in Tennessee, and then now we're in Texas. And in Tennessee, we were surrounded by a lot more like-minded individuals than we were here in Texas. So we really had to balance the way that we shared our faith. It's not as it's more of a living your faith. So how do you encourage your boys to live their faith on the field?
Be a leader, help coach people, encourage kids that aren't as good at the sport, just kind of be a good person. And in that being a good person, there's always a chance, an opportunity to slip in something about your faith. We take it out into the world, and I tell the boys, if you may meet somebody somewhere. An example, we were on a vacation. Bennett got to know the little boy next door, and they fishing together and playing together. And 2 days of this goes on, and I challenged him. I said, what have you talked to him about? Fishing, and he plays baseball. And I said, so you've got some things in common. Same thing with baseball. You've got things in common. I said, maybe this is an opportunity for you to share your faith. What do you think about that? He said, oh, maybe. I said, well, if you feel it, I'm not going to push you, but if that's something you want to talk about, just kind of mention it, bring it up. The next day, same thing, and we left the vacation, and he said, Dad, I was able to talk to the kid about Jesus.
Wow.
And I said, well, what'd you say? And he said, well, I asked him if he went to church, and he said no. He said, well, I go to church, and I believe in Jesus. And they had a little short conversation. The kid said, well, thank you. I'm going to think about that. So
that's great. I mean, it's planting seeds. That's what you want to do.
And same thing in the sports.
Yes. So I have a problem. I never was a real competitive person growing up, But then when I started watching my boys compete, I became very competitive. And so there's been times when I've lost my cool on the field. So
absolutely,
how do you deal with that? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
I grew up playing baseball at a young age. I did the select sports on the weekends. I actually played baseball in college. And I was the dad that's never going to coach my kids. I just want to watch. I don't want to be involved. That's not my thing. And here I am 4 years into my oldest playing baseball, and I'm coaching both teams, and I'm on the Little League board.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It didn't work out the way I wanted it to, but I think it's a good thing. I'm very competitive by nature. I'm able to suppress it inside. I'm not the outspoken yelling parent. I do get a little animated sometimes, but for me, again, it's lead by example. If I want my kids to argue with umpires and, get rowdy and have that outward emotion, they're going to feed off of me. So I try to keep it under control. And, if I have to say something to somebody, I'll call time, or if a parent's being rowdy, I'll go tell them, hey, you need to keep it down. But try to just lead by example when it comes to the aggression and the competitive nature.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I totally understand that. And I just will go ahead and warn you, it doesn't get any better. Even last night, we were at my son's soccer game. He plays varsity soccer, and man, those parents. It's been a rough season. So, and even for me, it's hard not to yell at the ref sometimes. So
some parents like to overdo it.
Yeah, we have to remember that they're humans. They're not really getting paid all that much to be there, and so they're doing it for their love of the sport.
Right.
And so we have to consider that. Do you have any encouragement to parents who might be facing this decision of should they let their children play team, travel, select sport?
I think it depends on the family. If it's something you're comfortable with, if you're comfortable doing church online like we are, if you're comfortable traveling, I think it can be a good thing. I think you can get into it and you can get too into it, and then it starts to take over your life. There's a boundary. And there is a fine line of boundary with traveling sports and select sports. As long as you can keep that in check and keep God first in your life and show your kids by example that that's the life you're going to live, even if you're not in church every weekend because of sports, then I think you can do it. But I think it depends on the family and the leadership in the family. You brought up a great point, and I hadn't planned on talking about this, but you brought it up, the boundary. So how did you and Abby determine what your boundary was going to be? I think just through those first few weekends of tournaments, where we saw that it wasn't every Sunday wasn't going to be a game at 8 a.m. And we were able to be at church more times than not.
Yeah.
And we said, well, if it overtakes it, and we're traveling every weekend, and it's 8 a.m. every weekend on Sundays, and we're never at church, then we need to rethink this. But we're able to offset the weekends that we're not there with online. And our motto in our family is, if we're in town, we're in church.
That's great. That's good. And your mom and your sister, y'all all come to church together, so that's really neat to see. So anyway, Will, thank you for your insight, and thank you for coming and being a part of the podcast.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your time.
As we close out this episode of It's a Beautiful Day Family Encouragement, let's revisit a few key takeaways. First and foremost, your relationship with God is the priority. In Matthew 6:33, Jesus reminds us to seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be provided for you. When we keep him at the center, everything else finds its proper place. If your family is traveling on weekends, make an effort to stay connected to your church worship service, even if it's online. It's not about routine. It's about keeping your heart aligned with God, no matter where you are. And don't forget, the way you show up on the field, in the stands, at the hotel is a testimony. Being a Christian example in every environment. Let your words be kind, your actions be gracious, and your presence reflect Christ. Encourage your kids to be leaders in their faith, whether that means praying before a game or being the one who lifts up a discouraged teammate. These moments matter more than the stats or scores. Finally, take time to reflect as a family. Know your limits. Be honest about your time, your energy, and what your kids truly need. Set healthy boundaries and ask, is this pursuit drawing us closer to God or pulling us away? There's no simple path for every family to take, but wisdom begins with knowing your family. Thanks for being with me today. I'm Pastor Jeff Land, and remember, it's a beautiful day to follow Jesus.